Hey guys, we're in Southern California, way up high. I'm here with my buddy Mark Johnson. He's been in the e-bike space since like 2012, basically since its inception. He knows all about Cube, and we were able to borrow a couple bikes today. These ones are really awesome. We're looking at the Cube Stereo Hybrid 160 HPC TM 625, which denotes the high capacity Bosch PowerTube battery, 27.5, which denotes the 27.5 wheel size. And then these are interesting. The front is actually a little bit wider than the rear. So this one's like 2.5 wide versus 2.4 inches wide. A little bit of a different tread pattern. $7,250 USD for this bike. It's definitely up there, but it's got some really awesome parts, including the Performance Line CX motor. This is their highest performance. It's a class 1, meaning it goes up to 20 miles per hour in US. Cube's a German brand. They're distributed globally. So depending on where you're at, you know, it might go a little bit slower in Europe, but this is a 20 mile per hour motor in the United States, up to 85 Newton meters of torque, 340% feedback. It's an excellent motor. It's been redesigned for the 4th generation to be lighter, more compact. And this bike is about 53.5 pounds as I weighed it, as you see here, with pedals. And it does not come with pedals. I like the ones that Mark has chosen here. I really like that even though the charge port on this bike is a little bit lower, it's done pretty well. It's got this like snapping cover that it just feels really secure. I've seen some rubberized ones that are right there on the down tube, and they've got this nice black cover here that's extra thick. It's rubberized. It's going to protect the battery, and it feels like it's gasketed. It's kind of sealed around the edge just to keep water and debris out. The bikes are dusty because we did this big climb all the way from like way over there. Got some really cool body cam footage, and these are all mountain kind of enduro bikes. So up front, I mean, this is like 170 millimeters of travel, and in the rear 160, yep. So it's a nice setup with, I mean, extra thick stanchions, 38 millimeter black anodized in the back, Evol extra volume. We're gonna go over this like in detail, but I just wanted to kind of start off at the high level. Another real cool thing about this bike is that we've got these extra large 203 millimeter hydraulic disc brakes, quad piston calipers from Magura, 2-finger levers with the Carbotecture. What is this called again, Mark? It's kind of the...
Yeah, it's like the master cylinder. It's where all the oil is housed, the hydraulic fluid.
Yeah.
Oil.
Yeah, and I love that there's like tool-free adjustable reach and then the aluminum alloy like levers. For me, the Carbotecture thing, I went to like a Magura ride camp or something years ago, and yeah, they're all about it. And the way that this actuates like towards you versus kind of like in
Correct, yeah. So they've designed it so, you know, typically a master cylinder is going to be like, you know, parallel with the bar, but in this case they've kind of, you know, shrunk it down and made it so it's not obtrusive. It sits on the bar as well. It's a nice design.
So yeah, I mean, between the levers and then the rotors, you might notice here, it kind of reminded me of like the Shimano Ice Tech, where you have a carrier that's aluminum alloy. It's a little bit lighter, it dissipates heat really well, but then you have this sturdy like carbon steel rotor, and this one fits together like a puzzle almost. And so they call it floating. So as the rotor heats up and expands and then cools down and contracts, you've got some movement and it's separated from the carrier. I think it's really cool. Of course, we have thru-axles, so 15 millimeter with quick release up front. This is boost, even though we don't have plus size tires. Again, 2.5 inch, 2.4 in the rear. Boost in the rear, 148 millimeter hub spacing with, I think this is like a 5 millimeter hex bolt. So no quick release in the rear. One of the complaints or little minor gripes that I had about the bike is like we've got that external Bosch sensor. There's a little magnet down here. If we spend a little bit more, what's this one called, Mark?
That's the SLT. This is the top spec level, full electronic group set. And that does have the carbon fiber rear triangle with the integrated wheel speed sensor inside the rotor itself.
That is so cool. That is so, however, people that are doing like speed dongling and stuff like that with like external stuff, you really, this is more sealed. So it's something that, you know, Bosch doesn't promote or whatever, but I complain about it a little bit because you've got a spoke that's kind of imbalancing the wheel.
External,
it's not quite as symmetrical.
You know, it's external, it's out there. It can get hit by a branch and
that's
whatnot.
True. They get bumped out of position. The Bosch stuff's really good. It's fairly modular. And so on this bike, even though it started with the Kiox, Mark's got this Nyon from Europe. So, she's like, get this thing in. And
so we've done about 24 Nyon installs. As most people are familiar with, the Nyon's really not spec'd on anything stock in the United States. It's more of a Euro thing. Yeah. So, you know, when these came available through our distributor, you know, I sold them to customers, and so it's a really cool display, you know, full feature. one thing that people don't realize is this actually can be swapped, so you can have it more kind of upright, or you can have it in the eMTB configuration, which it is now, which is a little bit more tucked away.
Yeah. Yeah, so I like that display, and we were messing around earlier. You've got a heart rate monitor on, and we could see your heart rate on the Kiox. Both of these have little micro USB charging ports built in. I thought it was interesting to see like what you get for the extra money, like the carbon rims, the full carbon frame. On the TM that we were looking at a minute ago, it's an aluminum alloy rear triangle and then aluminum alloy rims. Is this also 10 to 50 right here?
Yeah.
Is the same? Okay.
Yeah, that should be 10 to 50.
And this one, you've also got these huge rotors. These are like 220 millimeter.
So that's another upgrade we did. We did the, you know, the 203s weren't enough for the customer, so they wanted to go up to the 220s, which are the brand new e-bike specific 220 millimeter rotor. I mean, it's massive. Yeah. So, you know, for him with a Camelback, you know, maybe ride weight would be 230 or 240 or something. So that's where it comes into play really nicely.
It's a sick bike. And on this one, we get the Kashima coating on the shocks versus just kind of the straight black anodized. A couple things I want to point out about the drivetrain here. You know, we've got this steel chainring up front. It's got a narrow wide tooth pattern, so it really grabs the chain, but we've also got the E13 plastic guide. Definitely appreciate that. Keeps the chain on track. Look at this nice like double-sided slap guard. It's rubberized and it's got this nice pattern, kind of maybe wick away dirt and mud, but you know, if that chain's bouncing around a lot because you're descending quickly, love that. 10 to 50 tooth, so 500% ratio. You can see that there. SRAM Eagle, 12 speeds, and we've got the e-bike specific SRAM NX derailleur. It's just sturdier. It can handle the extra force of the 85 Newton meters that motor's putting out. It does have the roller clutch, so you can kind of tuck this down and lock it in if you're doing drivetrain service, which is nice. 165 millimeter crank arms here to reduce rock strikes. Of course, it can still happen with this longer travel, but it elevates things a little bit. And then if we come up to the trigger shifters, we got the SRAM NX single click. So that's another e-bike thing. It's like one shift at a time, so you don't get as much mashing. But Bosch has the electronic shift sensing. You know, I say this every time we're looking at the Bosch motor, but they really do a good job with sensors. They're known for like automotive hardware as well, and even in smartphones and kind of the self-driving automatic stopping systems. So it's pretty smart. It's measuring your rear wheel speed with the magnet sensor we talked about, pedal cadence and pedal torque over 1,000 times per second, and then it's listening for spikes in pressure, and then it's supposed to like ease off a little bit so you can shift without getting the gear mashing. I mean, what's your feelings on that, Mark? I mean,
so you know, when I first learned about that, I think maybe in their 2nd gen motor, I can't remember, but you know, it's pretty incredible. With only just software, you know, and the existing hardware in the system, they're able to determine, you know, when you're shifting and stuff. So other companies use an actual inline shift sensor, you know, to look at the cable.
It's like a physical thing, and
that gets clunky and stuff. So that's a really cool,
and it just reduces that drivetrain. Where was this? I want to say this was like a 36 tooth chainring. Does that sound right?
I think it's a 36.
But it's SRAM specific.
It's SRAM specific.
So that's another e-bike like high.
It's an Eagle steel, you know, which typically they're aluminum on most bikes. So steel, wide and narrow, which working with steel and doing all those rampings and stuff is very difficult to do. You know, that's why they do it with alloy, also to keep the weight down. But that's cool because you wear that out in an e-bike motor with all the torque running.
And let's hit the weight again. So 53.5 pounds like we weighed it, and then I think the motor down here is like 6.3 pounds and 7.9 pounds for the battery. Can you take off the battery cover? There's like a little button right here. I like that they just went with like black. It's not frame matched. Unfortunately, it does not lock. So if you lay your bike down, that you could lose that. But at least it's cheaper and easier to replace. And then we have the locking core here. This is ABIS, and it comes with like the key to like key. I love how it's protected. It's not exposed to the elements, and I like that it's actually on the drivetrain side of the bike if you lay the bike down like you should on the brake side, and you can get to that battery pretty easily. It's a 2-step release. So you unlock it, it kind of comes out a bit, press it again, you pull it out. But again, almost 8 pounds on that battery. You want to store that in a cool, dry location. Keep it at least half full. That's going to keep the battery lasting longer. You're gonna get that full capacity.
Absolutely. No protrusion. So a lot of frames, you know, have a hole in the side where the key, you know, and so keeping away from the elements, obviously. And then, you know, Cube determined that, you know, an arch is the strongest structure. So, you know, it's basically a full carbon arch, and the battery sits in there. Other brands, you know, have a side exit Bosch tube battery, and that's
track
just,
stuff.
you know, it's just a, yeah, exactly. It's just
with the rib. It's a lot heavier.
Yeah,
they have like a door that's color matched to the frame.
Yes, exactly, and that handle, that mechanism, that's extra to Bosch, you know. And in these times, you think about replacement, and you know, with the supply chain being so dwindled, and having this proprietary parts and stuff that just add to the complexity. Yeah, I like it. Keep it simple, right? So.
I do too, and frankly, I mean, so I think they've done a great job with this. Seeing bottle cage bosses right there is really nice. I'm glad that they included those. This bike comes in 4 frame sizes, so you can get a good fit, and you know, that's something that you are paying a little bit more for these bikes, but considering that there are so many levels for sort of the all mountain build, what is that, 4 or 5?
Yeah, so they do a 120, they do a 140, they do a 160. So the 120s are alloy.
And we're talking about travel, okay? So he's talking about like a cross-country bike, 120 millimeters travel. But even when we get into the 160, 170, you know, enduro, there's like several, you know, like SKU levels. Yeah,
race, SL, TM, action team, SLT.
It's crazy. So,
you know, Cube is the master at just going all the way. I mean, some of their hybrid bikes have like 7, 8 different frame styles and sizes. Can you think about a product matrix that far deep?
It's huge. I love that we got the remote dropper. I think this is 31.6 millimeter seat post if you wanted to change it out, and I think Mark's actually swapped the lever. We got this nice Venix saddle. It's feeling pretty good to me. The suspension is another area where I already talked about how it's like the wider stanchions, so that gives you the strength handling that longer travel. It feels very stiff. We got the thru-axle, 110 millimeter hub spacing. It's an air fork, so you can sag it and set it for the appropriate air pressure. Then we have this micro adjust for compression, so you can kind of almost lock it out. We got preload down there at the bottom, so you can kind of slow the rebound. And then back here, so this is really cool. Mark, I want you to tell me a little bit about like the extra volume, about like this mounting setup here. Can you just go over this?
Most bikes, you know, have gone to a trunnion style mount. So this is where, you know, it actually mounts to the body, the body of the shock body. And so that, you know, it makes it stiffer. As you said, it kind of compacts it, so you can kind of get more travel there,
so, right? Because it's like you want to keep that top tube low to kind of have that reduced standover height if possible, but you want that maximum travel.
So yeah, really great shock. Yeah, great adjustments on it, you know.
We got the 3 position. It seems like, so there's open, and then so there's kind of 3 positions. I've been riding it in open, of course. I like the comfort, and then we do have the rebound as well, and it's an air shock. So what about this rear suspension design? Is this like course link 4-bar kind of setup?
Yeah, it's a 4-bar horse. Yeah, exactly. So, you know, very efficient design. You know, at one time it was a specialized thing,
proprietary.
Exactly. And so, you know, they've opened it up, and it's a really stable platform. This bike, you know, doing some of the gnarly stuff right here, this bike is so at home. I mean, one of the most well-planted electric mountain bikes I've ever ridden.
Yeah, it felt great. I mean, even coming up this, I really can't like overemphasize how powerful that motor is. Like, I didn't have to stand up. And it was an eMTB mode. So we'll get into the display in a minute. I want to mention that we got this really short stem. We've got a little bit of a rise here. I have all the specs back at the website. I measure everything by hand as well as study the website. So you're getting kind of more information than Cube was offering, and then I'm validating what they said. And the weight was very close to what they said. They have 4 frame sizes, so I imagine, you know, bike ships without pedals, and they're weighing maybe the small or something. So it was very close. I think it's 28 hole rims, by the way, so 14 gauge spokes, fewer spokes. Can you talk to me about that? Because some companies are like 12 gauge and 36, you know.
Yeah, you know, so, you know, 2 cross, 3 cross, all this kind of stuff. You know, keeping it simple is the name of the game. These Newman wheels are, you know, it's a German company. This whole bike, you know, they like to use domestically manufactured stuff. And,
are we talking about Germany?
Round up from Germany. Yeah, exactly. So even the cabling is all like a German company that specializes in cables and stuff. So a lot of stuff that we haven't seen here in the States or anything.
New names,
and we're just getting it kind of unlocked and shining a light on it, which is really cool, because these Newman wheels are super high end, and I've never heard of them.
Of course, they're disc brake specific. Looks like 30 millimeter outer diameter. And
yeah, nice. I think it's a 6-pawl design, so high engagement point, you know, picks up really nicely.
So he's talking about the pawls. For someone who's might be new to this, it's like you hear that like like that's how quickly it catches. So when you go to pedal, you're not like delayed, you're not like clunk into it, it's just going to engage really quickly. I also, so you know, fun grips, they've got the inner lock ring, we got some little orange accents, but otherwise it's like a metallic dark gray with black, and of course black's a really popular e-bike color because all the extra wires and stuff. Internally routed, tapered head tube right here, so 1.5 or 1.125 to 1.5, but the outer like bearing is 1.5 at the top and bottom.
Yeah, so you know, 56 millimeter, you know, so it's got a 1.5, but it tapers internally with the steer tube. So you know, you're able to get that headset. This is cool because on the SLT and the higher spec ones, we're talking about you know, like the Action Team and up, they actually block these plates off and all the cabling comes through the stem.
So Mark's talking about the spacers here, and I actually want to show this because it's really cool. We have the high-end bike here. Look at this.
So yeah, so everything exits through here, it goes through the headset.
We didn't even use this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's all, look how clean this is, you guys.
Very clean.
Even the, and this is because you wrapped the cable
and
here,
we did. We put a, you know, we go a little bit extra when we do, you know, this stuff, right?
It's a $12,000 bike.
I mean, come on, you got to pull out some stuff. So we did, like, we sourced some heat shrinking that would go over this, and you know, did it all nicely done and stuff. So it's a really clean cockpit. I mean, this bike is absolutely, it's a showpiece.
So you also did some, it's like clear plastic.
Yeah.
Like, so you're protecting the paint.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, they have glossy and matte versions, you know, and it's got, like, this has a patch on it right here. I believe there's a patch in the front right here. So, you know, it keeps that frame from scratching and the touch points, you know, getting on and off the bike and everything to, you know, keep it fresh and keep it safe from scratches.
A couple other cool things I'm noticing. I mean, this one has electronic shifting. It's got the electronic dropper seat post, carbon fiber crank arms down here, and they've got the plastic endpoint so they don't get too banged up. I also noticed there's more adjustability for the compression up here. It's got 2 clickers.
There is. So when you go Fox full, you know, factory, they call it the Fox factory fork, you know, you get all the adjustments. The rear, you get like 13 clicks of adjustment.
Wow.
So it's a very tunable system. I send people out to get these done, and I like the simplicity of just the performance Fox because there's only a few adjustments and I can really get it within 90-95% of perfect.
There's a reason I'm kind of focused on that bike, okay, because that, first of all, that one's stock, and I just think it's more applicable. It's kind of like in the middle of the range, so.
Yeah, it's a Ferrari.
Yeah, right, and it's beautiful. I'm loving it. One of the other things I want to point out and praise here is that we got the Bosch standard charger. This thing is 4 amp output. It charges the 625 in like 4.9 hours is what the Bosch web says, about 5 hours.
Very quick.
That's amazing. And the first half of the battery, there's not as much balancing going on, so maybe even just an hour and a half or what, just get 50%.
They say 0 to 80%, and it's like a quick charge, and the 20% it's a trickle charge. So.
Yeah, that last portion. So a good job with the charger. It's kind of proprietary. It's got that, you know, end point that plugs into the frame and the end of the battery. Well, we were so excited to hit the trail that we forgot to film the display panel, so I'm going to give a short video that I recorded in the past on a separate bike, but this is the same Bosch Kiox color display panel. One downside to the cube configuration we've got here is that the mount is so close to the handlebar and stem, I don't think you could plug a charging cable into that very easily if you did want to run something off the micro USB port, so that's a consideration. I wanted to go in depth with the new Kiox display panel. This thing is awesome. Not only is it removable, but it's magnetically connected, and I've been seeing this on a lot of the higher end mountain bikes. The idea, I think, is that this mounting port is a little bit less delicate, and if the display gets bumped, it can pop off, and the screen's going to be well protected even if this kind of tumbles along the ground because they're using Gorilla Glass. So that's pretty cool. It's color. It's even got a little micro USB port built into the bottom, which I'm going to talk about later. So you sort of set it in like that. It clicks in. We've got a power button and a lights button, so I'm going to start there. Jumping in right from the start, we've got this little curly thing here. That's your motor power and then your pedal power, and it sort of dials up depending on how hard you're pedaling. Right now, the system isn't off, so it's giving you some feedback about what time of day it is, that the headlights are on, your battery percentage, very cool. Some of the other display panels, like the Intuvia and the Purion, they just had these 5 bars, and that represented 20% increments. This is a lot more precise. We're in miles per hour right now. So you could be riding this bike, just pedal power alone, and this display would still be giving you a lot of great feedback. As we press plus or minus, it's going to raise the assist level or lower it. So we go Eco, and you'll notice it's green, Tour, blue, Sport, kind of a purple color, and Turbo, red. Now, Sport may say eMTB depending on the drive system you have. So in this case, we've got Bosch Performance Line, but if you had Performance Line CX on like a mountain bike with high torque, it could have eMTB mode. So I just want to be clear about that. And then if you're in any of those 4 levels of assist, you press this little walk mode button right here. It says, okay, hold the plus button. And Chris, if you'll lift the back of the bike, check that out. That's pretty neat. Like whether you get a flat tire or you're in a park or a setting where you really don't feel comfortable riding, or maybe you're trying to balance a lot of gear. I love that they've got walk mode and then it's so clear how you use it. And then we've got the left and the right arrows here. And I'm gonna go ahead and go to the right. We've got clock, range, trip distance, ride time, power, cadence, average speed, max speed, and then sort of this quadrant layout, distance, range. Range is so cool, by the way. As you arrow up or down, it dynamically adjusts to give you some really precise feedback based on the last mile of riding about how far it thinks you can go, and that changes as you ride. It's really cool. Power again, beats per minute. That's for heart rate monitor, and this final screen here is just a really big like heart rate monitor feedback. We don't have one with us, and we don't have the Bosch eBike Connect app. You get some feedback about how hard you're working, and then you can work with the bike to maintain a heart rate that's maybe helping you burn some calories but not overexert yourself, and this becomes a fitness machine, and that's pretty neat. And who knows, we might see some other apps in the future because it can connect with your phone. So for now, heart rate's sort of just empty. And now this is what I was talking about before. If I click right one more time, it brings us around to the front, and this is actually where you start, is kind of the curly menu. But here we've got battery 1, battery 2, and a clock menu, and then settings. So this is where we're going to use that little select button, and it's just really deep here. So I'm going to go through fairly quickly. My e-bike, we can reset. You can set it to auto reset itself. Maybe you have a fleet or a rental service. Reset range calculation, wheel circumference, components, software version within components, hardware, serial number, part number. There's just a lot in here, a lot of technical stuff for maybe the experts to mess around with. And then down here we've got Bluetooth. This is what I was talking about before. We can actually turn it on if we want to. And then it says, okay, like let's hook up your smartphone. And then we've got system settings, brightness, automatic. That's what we've got set up right now. So if I cover it, it can dim a little bit. That's pretty cool. But you might just say, no, I just want it always bright. Do you see how bright that just got? Like, wow. And you can adjust it manually, take it down a little bit. Oh boy. Time, we can adjust this if we want to. Date, time zone. You can even switch to 24-hour, that's like military time. Light background, this is interesting. I'm gonna go ahead and disable that. So we will have the light background. I'm gonna show you what that means in a second. And then imperial, so that's like miles per hour versus kilometers per hour. Language, factory reset. Okay, so since I just talked about light background, I wanna get out of the menu system for a second and show you what that looks like. See how it's white now instead of black? That might be easier for you to view. Maybe it's really bright out or something, or that's just your preference. From way back here, you know, the black text is pretty easy to read. This display is a little bit more compact. It's sort of a compromise between, you know, the Purion and the Intuvia in terms of size. And I like that no matter which menu you're in, as we arrow to the right, you still get that color feedback. So it's blue right now. I can take it up to sport and it says at the top sport, and now it's purple. Or turbo, and now it's red. So the idea is that I think your peripheral vision, you might not be able to read that quickly, but you can get some idea or a sense for it just based on the color. That's really cool. So, do you want to go for a ride, Mark?
Let's do it.
That's pretty cool. Nice, man. Yeah, the wider tires are feeling pretty good in the soft stuff.
Huge confidence inspiring, right? I mean, yeah. They just grab. I mean, actually, I'm going to go up to those tires very shortly. But I don't like, I'm not a 2.4, 2.5 guy, you know. I like the 2.8. I think it's a good snapping medium, right?
Yeah. So Mark, we're on 2/8 here, so these are plus size tires. But on that bike, I think it's 2.5 inch width up front, 2.4 inch in the back. Is that right?
Correct, yeah.
So why? Like, why have the different widths? I mean, I almost feel like the rear tire you'd want wider because it would like bigger traction or something.
Yes, conventionally, yeah, I get why you feel that, you know, that kind of, you know, on motorcycles, that's the case.
Or cars, you got the big rear tires.
Exactly, because you have all your traction in the rear, your powertrain is running through the rear.
Yeah.
On this case, you know, weight is obviously a big factor, and you don't want any unnecessary weight. The front is going to be wider because, you know, you're going to hit turns and you want that contact patch to grab your turns, right? And the rear conventionally isn't a powered thing, you know, it's just it's your pedal power, so you want to keep the rear as light as possible because you want to be able to spin up that wheel.
Oh yeah, that's true, because
so on bikes it's kind of opposite conventional wisdom, right? A lot of times you see kind of a less aggressive rear, quicker, you know, less rolling resistance. The front is a little bit more rolling resistance. Side lugs are, you know, maybe kind of squared off a little bit for that turn in. But I like 2/8. I think it's a sweet spot. We all started at 3, you know.
Boost is like 6, 8, and 3.
Yeah, so 3 was like, you know, plus size came out, right?
Yeah.
Boost, it was 3 inches, and it was like, it was cool, but it was too big, you know. So 2/8, you know, came about, and we're like, okay,
now bring it down a little bit.
That's a little bit of best of both worlds, right?
It's actually pretty cool once you get moving, but it's a warmer area.
Here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Kind of like in the valley.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, over there?
Like green.
Yeah, it's like really green.
Yeah.
Pretty big too.
This place burns like every few years.
Not surprised. It's interesting that the shifters on this, like the high shifter, it's like they're reversed.
It is reversed. Yeah.
Did you do that?
Yeah,
or he did
wanted that.
Ah.
He likes that.
Oh, we got all these fun little like... Actually, thanks. Nope, just us. Pardon us. Nice. You all right, dude? That was good. Yeah, there's some sections here. I mean, that was fun.
Going backwards is really fun.
I'm on eMTB mode. How about you?
I'm on turbo.
You're on turbo, of course.
Yeah, I mean, it's hot as hell. You coming down? You're taking a break. Yeah.
Some tight switchbacks. Thanks. This is like so empowering.
What is?
Oh, just being able to climb this?
Yeah, I know.
Like no big deal. So for everyone interested, you get 60% support on Eco, all the way up to 340% support on eMTB, which is actually 140 to 340, and then 340 on turbo, which is what Mark's using. Going 12 miles per hour up steep climb. Yeah, you gotta like lean into those corners. It's awesome. Yeah.
I never thought I'd say going uphill to switchback is fun.
Yeah, it's like that uphill flow thing that Bosch talks about. I can see where that bike bell comes in handy. Yeah. Hey, can we switch it up? I'm gonna hop on the TM. So here's the Kiox. I switched over to the TM. It's gonna weigh a little bit more because it's, you know, it's got the aluminum rear triangle and it doesn't have the carbon rims and stuff, but otherwise should be somewhat comparable here. I'm gonna take it to eMTB. Go ahead and lead on, man. Yeah, the handlebars are set up a little bit differently. Oh boy. Woo! Oh, this is rad. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, this is awesome. Dropper lever's digging into my left thumb a little bit. I think he replaced that. That is not stock. You got the fork locked out on me? Yeah, that's better. You got the fork locked out. Yeah. See what that rear triangle.
What's your heart rate?
It's a good question. You want to pull over and check yours?
No, I'm saying mine's probably displaying on your bike right now.
Oh, yeah. Here, let me check that out real quick. Give me a sec. Yeah, Mark has he's wearing a heart rate.
Is it showing 140?
That's a good heart rate. That's like definitely like burning. Oh my gosh. There's the torque sensing motor in action. So yeah, we're down to 138, 137. So his heart rate's dropping. He's got a heart rate monitor on right now and it's synced with the Kiox. One of the benefits of these nicer displays, I think the Nyon, the Kiox, is that those are, or maybe the Kobe display or something.
Yeah.
The smartphone hub. Both of these have micro USB charging ports accessible. Although with the custom mount that Cube has, you'd need like a right angle adapter because it's right in there. So that's one of the trade-offs on this display.
So check out the actual eMTB graph display that Bosch has out of the box. It gives you a slope percentage, max slope, ascent, and altitude, and then it gives you an altitude graph right here.
Wow.
Really sophisticated. Very cool.
Can't see it super well from here, but yeah, those are some of the big upgrades on the Nyon. I don't like this lever. It's like janging into my...
Oh.
Yeah, I don't have gloves, and it's like too far over.
So yeah, adjustment point, there's a little bit of movement, but my hands are obviously different size than yours, so it doesn't bother me, but...
If my hands were here, okay, so I'll just put my hand a little further out. Oh, that's all right.
How do you like that bike?
I like it.
This one is so big that it feels like I'm on like an upright beach cruiser.
Is that one a large?
I think it's an XL maybe.
Oh wow, yeah, it did feel larger. And getting around these corners is like, yeah, it feels like you're gonna pop a wheelie or something. Like wheelie out. Oh wow, yeah, here, I'm gonna cover this for a second. Wow. Nice. It's intense. We don't have full face or pads, so we got to take it a little easy when we come down.
All right.
Beautiful.
Top, little high five action.
Woo! Nice. Okay guys, from here you can see that Bosch Performance Line CX motor. We've got that 36 tooth steel narrow wide chainring from SRAM and the ethirteen guide, so we're not going to lose the chain. We've got the rear travel in view as well. So I'm going to shift through the gears. We're going to ride mostly descending, but this will just give you some shots of the drivetrain. Yeah, and I don't have gloves or anything either, so. Yeah. Thanks for riding the XL. Give me the medium. Nice. Very stable, like most mountain bikes. A little bit wider tires. And I love being able to spin that 120 plus rotations per minute motor support. Means if I downshift for a big climb, the motor doesn't just die on me because I'm spinning so fast all of a sudden. Bosch does a good job with that. They've been a leader in the RPM support for kind of forever, especially with the performance line motors. Thanks. Oh. Yeah, no problem. Awesome. Great.
Oh, that's another thing, is like the bike is just like a mountain goat.
Yeah. Well guys, it's been a blast. That is a Cube Stereo Hybrid 160 HPC TM 625 27.5. Mark, thank you.
You're very welcome.
It's a mouthful. It's great to see both bikes.
Yeah.
I mean, and this trail has just been so awesome riding around with you.
Yeah.
As usual, you guys, I have measured everything I could about this bike, the length, the width, the, you know, standover height, minimum, maximum saddle height. I do like that the standover is fairly low on this bike. A lot of the companies are trying to figure out, like, how do we do long travel suspension but still make it approachable, and that's great because some of this steep stuff, it gets a bit technical and you might have to hop off. You don't want to get hung up on that. And Mark, I was curious, you know, if you look at this, it's almost like there's some blemishes or something here. I'm looking at the top here in the black.
Yeah, so see right here, you can see that seam line right there. So, you know, natural carbon is like a, basically they call it pre-preg, where it's carbon fiber and resin, and they put it into a chamber and they put pressure onto it. And it's like marble. It's like a natural, you know, marble's been formed over millions of years, right? A natural, this is like, you know, a commercial version of marble. It's just stacking layers. So there's a variation, there's an imperfection and stuff. So it's certainly not a manufactured defect or anything. It's just the natural beauty of carbon fiber.
Okay, and so I'm kind of purposely calling that out, you guys, because I think people come into the shop and they're like, oh, it's not perfect. And what you're actually seeing is the carbon. So it's black, right? But that's the actual carbon fiber, and then we've got some paint, this metallic silver down here. Keep that in mind if you're looking at these bikes. Each bike is sort of one of a kind. You know, again, this is longer travel, enduro, almost approaching downhill. I feel like you could do some light downhilling with this bike.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
if you wanted. So, and Mark, by the way, I mean, you're so helpful. It's awesome to be out here with you. You're very knowledgeable about Cube because you have worked at these shops. You've been in the industry for a long time. And then you're also, we got a Facebook thing?
Yeah, we started the Cube e-bike owners group on Facebook, and grew that into 8,000 members and stuff, and hoping to kind of bring it further into the States. It's very popular in Europe right now, but getting it, it's a wealth of information, awesome people in there that post. I mean, we have like 400 posts a week and stuff, so it's a great resource to really dive into people that have the bike. They know the issues, they know how well it is, so it's a cool resource that
yeah, definitely check that out, you guys. And again, for me, I learn stuff every time I hang out with Mark. We have fun riding together. That's the way to do it. Back at ElectricBikeReview.com, I have a comparison tool, and I haven't reviewed the entire range of Cube bikes, but I have reviewed some competing bikes from other companies like Trek and Specialized and Giant and stuff. So there's that. There's also a forum, and it's less active than the Cube Facebook owners group, but it's searchable and really ad limited. I think that's about it. I love you guys. Ride safe. We'll see you on the next one.